The most cunning lads have finally come out on top, as being only brutal isn't the only way of the war. War. Welcome to WAAAGH Wednesday with the stats and the facts. Honorable mention, so be sure to vote on that. And top player coverage. Today we do actually have those notes from those top players as when we go over those voting options. So of course, like always, welcome. Whoa, this is live. I've been out, so welcome. I'm back. Glad to be back. Welcome to everyone who's here. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I'm the Mac boy. So we're going to go off right away into the stats and the facts to show just what's going on real quick. We already hear whispers in the warp about the point changes that people think might be coming. So shout out, we might be getting a wish list video coming here soon. And just so be sure to put some of that in the comments, whatever you guys kind of want to go out there, so I can read what you got to say. I, of course, have my thoughts and I put them out there plenty. But as of today, the time of this recording, we have Orks sitting at a 43% win rate. There are two players that went X-1, so substantially less than last week, though. Orks keep putting out performances, keep getting good placings, which is funny because in some ways, Orc players are like, well, can we just sit in the backside and let ourselves get some increases here and like point decreases and get some stronger rules? If people keep performing well, what are we gonna do? So in other ways, other people are like, hey, I'm just sticking to what I know, and that's what I really love to see is we have a bunch of different variety that's going on here. So Taktikal Brigade has come out to play again. Shout out to Tactical Turtis. He did cover this. He did a pretty good job. Shout out to that game when he's talking about Orks. But of course, we're going to go over their actual win path today so you can see what he actually got stuck into. Where Taktikal Brigade hadn't been around for a while. We hadn't really seen them making any performances for several months. And finally, they have come through. So then we go to the Big Hunt. So Big Hunt, 60% win rate. The very few player that was there. I think because it was like, I always mess this up when I'm too excited. Rolled back to the top. It was only one player. That's what I thought. So there's only one player, but it's always fun to actually see people running that. So shout out to the one, the Hunt player. 10 War Horde players. One of those getting the X-1 placing and 42% win rate. He's going to be an honorable mention, so make sure you vote on that. And it's funny because War Horde is still just proper. Being brutal is still proper, lads, right? Even though I said tactic gets have come out to play, it's not just being tactical gets that we're going to talk about more, but just overall, don't sleep on War Horde, even though it really does right now have its bad matchups in the time of the Death Guard and the time of the Knights. Even though we do crump them pretty well, we got that one turn to do it. If we don't set it up right, if we just whiff, it's kind of off the table after that, right? So, but I love my War Horde, and it's always a good way to play. Then we have Dread Mob. 36% win rate, kind of falling off for the two players who have been playing it. It's all good. It's fun to experiment. Trust me, I run my walkers, and some days are good, and some days I'm like, ooh, bad matchup. Then we go into Cult of Speed. Though we only have a 20% win rate, I do actually have a list to show that's from teams. And last week there was another player that was X-1. So we're going to do votes so you guys can see, because I have an undefeated teams list with notes from the player. So we're going to show that with Cult of Speed if you guys want when we pull the honorable mentions up. And then we have the Bullet Boys with no wins from the one player who went out. He had a hard, rough time. I totally understand it. Bully Boys wants to do what War Horde wants to do, but lacks the damage, the versatility, the variety of tools that you can have, worse stratagems in most ways, pretty much always. So Bully Boys is just struggling and still has, I know, it can kind of feel badsy sometimes when you try to get stuck into it. So let's go into the honorable mention. So, of course, right now, because you're live, and if you're that's watching this after, leave a comment. Maybe we'll still cover these guys in the future. But there is a 5-1 War Horde list that was going on. They had pigs and rigs, right? Just a little hints on what's going on when you make this vote. And then we have the Cult of Speed player who's 5-0, but he was at a teams event, and I do have notes from him. And then, of course, whether this was from a past video or something that I did not cover that you guys see on here. So shout out to that. Let me know what you guys got to say, because it is about what you guys actually want to see. So shout out to you guys for you guys are here. Start getting them votes in. But as for the list I'm going to cover will be Taktikal Brigade. Because Taktikal Brigade is where everybody's kind of surprised to see. But we have to give a shout out to today's sponsor, the Baron of Dice. They make high quality custom dice. If you enjoy our content, want to show some love, shout out to Baron of Dice and their custom wall tactics dice. So check them out in the description for 5% off, because nobody likes taxes. And of course, we have our paint competition. Thank you to Baron of Dice. So we got killer cans coming up here. So be sure to do that so you can win a pair of those WAAAGH Tactic Dice. And so thank you to Gits. Then we move on to Dominic Defoe with Nightwolves Major 40K. Where he actually came out with the undefeated Taktikal Brigade list. They were using ITC scoring, so he did have a draw, but still ended up number 1 on top. So that's pretty awesome. We're actually going to go over what his actual path to victory was. But let me go over this list anyways. And actually, oh, thank you for reminding me, because I don't have my Big Mac around here. So I'm putting the poll up. That was on me. That was on me. Thank you, Arcane, with my boy. So yes, you guys should be able to see the poll up now. Now, let's go over his list. We have a Big Mech and Mega Armor with the Mech Captain. GW trying to keep it down, but it's always coming around. Love to see it. Really the backbone of this detachment. I've never, ever seen this detachment perform at any high level without having that combo. Even diminish like a 5-man unit. Couldn't see it. Wouldn't recommend it. Make it work with the 10 Gits. We have triple Big Mech with shock attack guns. So though GW tried to keep that down, it's still around. Crazy to see that it has 3, just automatically 3 goings. Now we have seen people substitute for the Big Mech, but there's just something about the absolutely 4 AP that makes it do what it do. And then when you get the pulsar rockets on there, which you're going to see from what we can look forward to the future, is amazing. And in Overwatch, when we see them, if they're possibly played with Ludas, right? So it has a different utility depending on which one they're leading based off those 2 units. We have 3 5-man units of Storm Boys, kind of about a lot, to be honest. We do see people bring 1, 2, even this detachment, though it has the ability to be picked up and placed back on the field. The fact that they're battle line, so they get a little bit more dynamic secondary play. And they have strats, give themselves more OC. They can take orders, of course, as well, though there's not really anyone on here that's really looking to give them orders anyways. Nonetheless, the Storm Boys had fallen out of play, but as we look through the rest of his tools, you can see what he's trying to pull off with the theme and the speed, which I really like, because typically what's annoying about Taktikal Brigade is you're just playing with a couple big combination of character-led units in trucks, and then everything else is just, well, I hope I move up the field and take some positions and shoot you. Otherwise, I'm just in my trucks and I get popped and killed. In this way, he's playing the early game, secondary game, tying people up, getting in little skirmish fights, as we also look to see that he has 3-man units of Def Copters for more fly keyword, which is typically Orks just lack. So he brought the only things that really have it. Of course, we have our planes and such, right? Don't heckle me on that. I'm saying for the units that have Deep Strike and Fly, these are the 2 units that have it. So I like the actual mobility that he's put onto this field, and being able to stick both these units into these little skirmish fights or secondary player, corner player, early game skirmishes, going for early game objectives, board control. The fact that they go together and they kind of prefer different targets and are good at different things is nice duo, going on there. So I like that. Flying combos. 1 big 10-man unit flash gears, like we said, a big 22-man unit of Gretchen. That's really just to screen your entire backfield. People use it so you can have dead card draws on Call the Horde. People swear by it all the time. It's something we've seen on the channel several times. So don't knock it till you try it. I personally do like multiple for the games that don't have me, need to screen the entire time. But I've also heard where people go, well, once the card is drawn and they cycle it, now I move that unit up the field and I have this big mob to just play late game. It's kind of funny too. Another 2 11-man units of Gretchen, 1 brick of commandos. Now, he did have the Breacher Ram, the Flaburna, and the Power Claw as the special weapons that he had on there. Of course, those are like the only ones I really recommend, to be honest. Love my Mandos because now he has this flying, he has this infiltrate. Now he actually has space for getting these trucks where he wants them to be safely for staging and getting the proper lines of fire that they want to have. Just creating that space, like we always talk about when you're an orc player, you got to create that space for yourself. Never let people take the initiative from you, which is what all this flag keyword and infiltration is allowing you to do. And so Mandos lead the way, baby. 2 10-man units of Ludas. So though it's always theoretical that Taktikal Brigade would bring this and people talk about it a lot, it's really not that common. Really not that common, guys, right? We show this a lot. We talk about it. I bring it on the Taktikal Brigade videos on people you've seen on another list that have performed. Very uncommon in this time of day, especially. I want to know why I have it as I have it as an oxymoron how it's written on there, because I have it as a 50 points, but it's actually 10-man units. So they are 10-man units, I was going to say. So it's 115 points. I don't know how I ugly fat fingered that. But it's 115 points an hour for a 10-man unit of Ludas. Goodness, that 15-point tax that GW put on that unit really made them out of taste for a lot of orc players. They lack AP. They have a horrible ballistic skill. But really what it comes down to is the fact that the Ludas, depending on the matchup, right? Sometimes you need more shots, don't use much anti-tank. People already have a lot of invulns in play, whatever it may be. One shock attack gun with the Luda unit gives you a solid Overwatch unit in a different way once you still have your flash kits as well, that people kind of still consider nicely. So yes, they can do it to a unit that's in an objective, and you're allowing them to re-roll the hit, and the shock attack gun will do a lot of the damage in that way, to kind of spread the anti-tank around the battlefield. But the fact that it's usually strength 9 still only, and it doesn't have access to lethal or sustain like you would in Dread Mob, means that it really does come down to being theoretically a more of anti-infantry kind of profile that you're using it for, or just kind of light vehicles. So a lot of the time you are going to put it on the tank buster units, but Luda's just having those long angles of fire themselves onto objectives could also be the reason why it was a play. So this was interesting to see. Custom Mega Blasters on those was what I put on there, but it's actually rockets. I don't know, I messed up the slide, guys. Sorry, I was too going hard with looking at all my notes. But we have the three-man, six-man units of tank busters with the 2 rocket pistols and the pulsar rocket. Yeah, he actually did have 2 rocket pistols. Still spamming it. Art of War is still going to hate to see it, but our boy Dominic still brought it out to play. So let's actually look into his matchups, because his path to victory always matters. So as you can see here, oops, I clicked too excitedly. Started with the dub perfect. Then he had the draw, and then finished off with more wins. So let's take a look at what he actually had to go into. The list is how many rockets are you bringing? Let me see what he says. Is that what he said for his list? No, he didn't actually name his list, but that's a good name for his list. So let's take a look at his first matchup. Yeah, people will say we got Mordaka, which was Astra Militarum with the Hammer of the Emperor. So he has Canadian. Why do I always do that when I'm excited? Cadian Command Squad, Lord Solar Leontis, and 1 Rogaldorn Commander. Only one. 1 unit of Cadian Shock, 2 Thoraxes, 3 artillery crews with siege cannons, 2 units of Kazarkin, followed by a Demon Rust Exterminator, 1 unit of Ratlings, followed by 2 more Rogaldorn battle tanks and Scout Sentinels. When you really give just kind of, he doesn't really have a variety of things I want to pop with my tank busters. Really, it just comes down to when is it time to get off on those Rogaldorn commanders. And this is one of those cases where those auto cannon, Ludo cannons can actually deal with Thoraxes for being low armor. Coming off field from reserve sometimes even to get those lines of fire, because as you can see with our gets list, he didn't necessarily have a lot of trucks. He had 1 truck, and I'm personally, not that I could ask to get, but I personally subject to believe that he absolutely every single game put the Big Mac and Mega Armor in that unit with the 10 flash kits, because it's such a huge profile like unit to fit on the field, right? So a lot of the time you're just going to use it, maybe have like a mobile firing bunker, and then jump out and do your thing when it's time to do it. There could be times where people have and you let it be on the field early game, but just generally speaking, except for exceptions, that's why the truck's probably there. Because unless you played it with those giant bases, you're going to understand what I'm talking about. As for everything else on here, this is where we were talking about having the speed to pull people out into fights, because Death Copters don't necessarily just fall over. They have their rockets. They have a nice boatload of attacks, about 6 at strength 5. And so they can end up getting into these Kazarkins alongside the Storm Boys. And then even if a couple of the Storm Boys stay alive, they can give themselves more OC. So I actually like to see that. A lot of Doc coming into play, but good job for taking out Astra Militarum with the big W. I think that's just because your tank bosses are going to get the initiative off on those Rogaldorns. They have to come out at some point, because you're going to win all the skirmishes between the Death Copters, the Ludas, and the Storm Boys into just that multitude of trash that they had about to play. Then we have his second game. I don't know why I said third. Too excited. What's up, you kids? Canadian shock troopers, always so kind when attacking, right? That's a good way to put it. Then we go into the second game, which was into the Space Wolves. So we had an Iron Priest, Lieutenant with combi weapons, Logan Grimnar, Ragnar Blackmane, Wolfguard battle leaders, 2 of them, and then 1 Wolf Priest, 1 10-man unit of Blood Claws, 1 5-man unit of Fenrisian Wolves, 2 units of Gladiator Lancers, 1 Infiltrator Squad, 1 Scout, 2 3-man units of Thunderwolf Cavalry, followed by 2 of the Wolf Guard Head Takers, and then 1 big 10-man unit of Wolfen with Storm Shields. It's really interesting to see how this game would actually go out to play, because of the fact that all of these things are absolutely blending anything they get in the fight in. So typically you're like, well, you know, the Death Copters and the Storm Boys can come out and kind of get into a little skirmish. This 1 unit of Thunderwolf Cavalry has a great time if it just gets into a fight. Generally speaking, it assumes into Death Copters if it can get the charge off. So this is one of those cases where, well, now we're actually getting into trades which are actually quite difficult. Our firepower is better because these Lancers are going to feel somewhat useless. I mean, they can pop the truck, so of course you can get charged from, you know, once they force you to disembark, but nonetheless, the fact that they're mobile gun platforms, take off on the Lancers, not getting good trades in the time they get kind of exposed, and then tank busters try to pick everything else up. This would get a really tradesy, hold your horses with the commandos, push everything up the field, get the long firing lanes, force them to fight through your mandos and some of your other early screens, shoot away them, and then declare your wall, charge into them, and kind of try to push them back. Because right now with how Space Wolves, everything can absolutely blend you with how soft Orks are. And they have kind of good cheap trades. They have invulns all over the place from the Wolfen and the actual Storm Guard. So here we Storm Guard, Wolf Guard. So here we go with the nice draw, solid draw. Nothing to sneeze at. Great job there, though. Their Space Wolves are looking absolutely strong right now based off the pilot too. Then we have World Eaters as his third matchup. We had 1 Demon Prince of Khorne. Then he has the Helm of Brazen Fire. Pretty sure that's reduced damage 1. Then we have Karn the Betrayer. Then Lord Juggernaut. 1 big brick of Khorne Berserkers. Ooh, okay. This is actually quite potent, you guys. If you haven't played against this or heard about this unit actually goes off. So you can get access to sustain, can access the lethal. It has actually, based off from what I understand, see how it has the Khornite Eviscerators. This is essentially their version of Power Claws. So they actually have what would be 4 Power Claws in their 120-man mob. Not to mention that if they have someone like Karn leading the unit, for example, they get a bunch of other abilities that they also get to get off on that I'm losing. They get Lance potentially as a strat as well. Then if you actually go into them, they can reduce damage by 1 in combat. So this would be and they have a Blood Surge as well. So if you shoot them with a Tank Buster unit, they can Blood Surge into you, but then they can actually force it to be a certain value of a Blood Surge, so it's more reliable. So this would very much be about keeping space, which is why you actually want those Death Copters. So the fact that he has this Khorne Zerker unit, this thing will actually blend just about anything, and he's willing to lose, 11 of these models and still have the multiple Khornite Eviscerators plus the character just really ready to play. So he can lose 14 of these dudes anyways and still be absolutely fine, 15, whatever. And as long as he has these Eviscerators and the main character leading them, and it might be 2 characters. What else? No, he doesn't have 2 in this case. Maybe Juggernaut, but I know he could only have another one. What are they called? Executioner, whatever. So pretty interesting to see. But then he also has another unit of Khorne Berserkers. So he's bringing all the chainsaws and listening. 1 Chaos Rhino, followed by 2 Chaos Spawn. Really good trades here, right? So these could actually mess up some Death Copters too. The fact that these guys can also pull off a lancing maneuver and giving themselves additional AP, so they can end up kind of getting that fight off. Now, there's a chance that your Death Copters get off on them first. With the rockets, you can just pick them up too. So pretty cool. 3 units of Forge Fiends. These guys did get changed, so I guess they don't at least do that in Overwatch, but they get to like reroll the whole hit roll has to be the real actual nearest target to them, not just because Overwatch, from what I understand, but still very potent platform, strength 10, -3 damage. Hellbrute. Now these double Hellbrutes, it's funny that he actually has this kind of list, not in the normal meta version of World Eaters, but still familiar with it. 2 Hellbrutes. These guys have the continuous, just think about it, a continuous fight capability where they fight you, hypothetically speaking. Let's say he charged you. Hellbrute charges you. He kills your unit, or let's say he doesn't. So Hellbrute charges your unit. He doesn't kill your whole unit. Your unit slaps him back. He gets to activate and fight again. Then he will be able to consolidate in the space. Well, he can consolidate 6. So then he would consolidate into your next orc unit. That orc unit would slap him because now we're in combat. I have to punch you, and the Hellbrew would activate again and punch him again. And if he killed that unit, hypothetically speaking, and he consolidated again into another unit, then he would have to continue the process until that unit either didn't get killed, so he stops fighting, or he just is out of range. So this can get out of hand as well with bad positioning, which is why we again talk about all the flying units that he has on this list. So I can see all these flying units being quite valuable. And in the case of, well, I can't let these big bricks of Zerkers get off on me. I can't let these Hellbrews really close the distance come in with reserves on me. Sometimes they still will and just attempt a 9-inch charge, so you have to be aware of that as well. And then followed by 2 units of Jackals. So even though I just said all that, 14, big W on that. Once you do keep that space, they don't really have anything else to do. Now, the Forge Fiends can sometimes just ride the invul and not get killed by tank buses. But typically you're going to kill them. So typically going to kill them. And luckily for you, you have all the Ludas for those units of Khorne Zerkers that are on objectives, or the Jackals, whatever it may be. And he's not going to spend his more Forge Fiends necessarily trying to shoot at them. They don't have the range for the Ludas like that. So the Ludas kind of can have their way to play depending on the layout. So again, maybe those Ludas could have really been the secret tech right there. Could have really been the secret tech. Then we go into second to last game. We have Tyranids. Is this the hunting grounds? No, sorry. I don't know why I said that. That was a Vanguard Onslaught. Okay. So we have Death Leaper, triple Broodlord. Okay, I think we know what he's doing here. And then he has those 2 units of those hyper-adaptive Raveners, Winged Hive Tyrant, other Winged Tyranid Prime, Hormigons, Biovore, triple 5-man units of Gene Stealers, Lictor, 2 Neurolictors, 3 units of Raveners, and then a big old brick of bio melee weapon warriors. So the bio melee weapon warriors, they can get up to strength 6 from what I understand, because they're synapse. And they're always synapse because they are synapse themselves. And then they have twin linked. They get access to sustain, and because of their boy over here, where's he at? The Wing Prime, and then he allows them to reroll 1s, I think, as well. So they can crumb with volume of punches and -2 AP. So they're like their version of punching and beating you up. Then he's gonna really try to just hem you in with all these Brood Lords, charge you in with the Gene Stealers, and do dev wounds on you. So again, utilizing your screens. Now you see he does have trash between the Mandos. If he allowed to deploy the Mandos first before this enemy infiltrators, he can keep those infiltrators away, so the Stealers can't necessarily just freely move up and get easy charges up on the trucks. And this might also be one of those games where you allow the flash hits to be out game 1 or turn 1, because he doesn't have the typical, let's say, long range fighting shooting exocrines, for example. And whatever minor shooting he might have that I'm overlooking here, you have the 4-up invul to ride it. So you're going to ride it, whatever. Nonetheless, that's where you can have the flash kits on the table, doing an Overwatch, then maybe even pulling off a charge, maybe even pulling off a heroic intervention if you're cagey enough, or just using the Mandos to keep them off you. 13, so easier said than done. 13-point win. Mission is dependent, terrain is dependent, but you do have the tools. You just got to whittle them away. And then, of course, a bad Shadow of the Warp. You don't get to use your strats. Can have a flat face wall, turn off all your primary. That kind of messes with scores. It's happened with me with Tyranid games as well with Orks. So it just be that way. But I'm sure that went solid. So with the W, 13-point win. Then we move into his last game, which was into the Dark Angels, where it was the Wrath of the Rock. Azrael, Librarian, Lieutenant with Combi Weapon, and then Lionel Johnson. 2 units of Deathwing Knights, followed by 2 units of Gladiator Lancers, Infiltrators, 2 bricks of the Inner Circle Companions, Invader ATV, and then a unit of Scouts. Tactical Brigades likes to see this. You're trying to play Hero Hammer out with them, hammer it out with them. The fact that they have the tank busters that are going to be fine. Just, hey, we're just going to take these. We're just going to take these shots all day. You don't have really enough firepower to keep them necessarily scared or respected. Lancers are, like we said, possibly just going to disembark them, and you still have the flash kits that can just pull out and just get into fights, shooting into Inner Circle Companions, getting stuck in with them. And this, remember, as long as you create space for the Deathwing, don't create space for the Deathwing Knights to come out and drop necessarily wherever they want, make them drop on the edges of the battlefield. That could be a benefit. If it doesn't happen that way, you just usually might only have to kill one, might not even have to kill both units. Always go for the soft targets first, guys. Remember that as an Orc player. When you're going for the one of these type of list, that they're an elite Space Marine player list, 1, understand to not let them get the initiative on you, which is what using flying keyword, Mandos to lead the way, Gretchen to create the screens as well. All this stuff is to rely on the fact that you create the space so they can't get off on you with any of their tricky Space Marine shenanigans. You're killing their soft targets, and then when it's time to go, they've already taken asset losses, and you're going to just come out with your most valuable units and innate the wall, pop off on them, still throw the rest of your trash into them so that even if you don't finish them off, hold them in place with your trash so that you can get another round of shooting them and getting stuck in. So easier said than done because it was a 12-point win right there. But shout out to our boy Dominique for doing so great with the Taktikal Brigade. So if you guys want more details, let me know. But I just wanted to be a little quicker on these and get through that today with that list. But I'm very proud of Dominique because Taktikal Brigade had been sleeping. Now it is a little bit of people might say yawn for seeing triple tank busters and triple Big Mac with shock attack on, but he brought what was once only considered theoretical, and people hadn't actually been getting results with it, at least not that we had been observing regularly to any degree, with having 2 big bricks of Ludas to play the long lanes. Maybe theoretically he could swap out characters into those units if he felt like he needed them on those certain matchups, like we were seeing with the World Eaters possibly, but not necessarily, because then they can shoot the infantry with the shock attack gun, get blast from him, get the AP to really buzz all through them, and then maybe the tank busters on themselves would go into the Mauler Fiends, knowing that they don't have any defensive buffs and they're really riding the invulns. Maybe shock attack didn't need to be there. So there are the versatility there. And like I said, they were 10-man units. And he brought the Death Copters, which I really like that he brought that. That would require the enemy to always bring out something that was just a bit more points than them and needed to be taken out a little bit more earlier, which is where I think Ludas came out to play, either to draw them to objectives or to draw them out to be getting shot up by the Ludas, and gave something for the Flash to also kind of get up and clean into before the enemy's big hitters came out to play to interact with the Flash kits, and then the tank busters busted out. Or tank busters came out and flash kits came out to play, depending on what the matchup was. So really like to see it. Like to see all this Death Copter madness and Death Copter love we've been getting. So keep in mind, always keep the initiative off you, and that's why you need fast units, need some space, and sometimes talking about Zod. And in this case, we talked about the fly keyword and Death Copters making it their way to play. So with that being said, shout out to Dominique with this 5-0 list. Let's take a look at the honorable mentions and see who actually won this, because we're coming down to the final votes here. So make it your final votes. I'm going to do a countdown to 5 to see what happens, because if you just got here, remember we did honorable mentions. Make your vote right now on what you want to see. You have a 5-second countdown to make your vote because it's very close. We have Warhorde 5-1 with Pigs and Rigs being featured in that list. And then we have the Cult of Speed list from a teams event that went undefeated. And we have notes from the player himself on what he did, found key for his victories round by round. So let's take a look at that when I do the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ending poll results now. Boink. All right, let's see what happened. Who won this poll results, boys? Dang, and we got a... Oh, I went too excited. I'm too excited. I think I see it. There it is. We have a War Horde. Oh, I think I still actually have the... Am I showing you guys still that? There we go. No, it's fine. That's fine. Let me see what I'm showing you guys. All right. We have a War Horde victory for the list that we are going to be showing here with the Pigs and the Rigs, with a very narrow victory on that. Wow. With the upset here, very surprised. Originally thought that we were going to be seeing the War Horde list the Cult of Speed list, but I think people are finally ready to see what's going on with War Horde, because week by week we hadn't seen what War Horde has actually been doing. So now give me a second to pull this out. Sorry, guys. I looked at my other screen and I thought that I wasn't showing you the right thing, but I was. That's why it took me a second to do the countdown. But nonetheless, the War Horde found its way to win. So let me pull that up real quick. And remember, just because Cult of Speed didn't get shown now, keep in mind it'll probably be up next week for a vote anyways again, especially because we have the notes from the Git. So I'm really excited about that. So don't fret, ya cunning lads, because we still have the Cult of Speed for the future. But as of today, as of now, we will be covering Thomas Dobson and his War Horde list. So I did make a slide for this because I was a prepared Git for the most part, other than my minor mistakes here. So here we have the Kent Major 2025 with Thompson Dobson with the 5-1 War Horde list, keeping it classic with it, lads. So let's go over what the War Horde's been doing. Because a lot of other detachments been getting love on the channel, been showing and putting for the forefront. People are kind of tired, yawn on tactical on the war on War Horde. But man, when you get a proper wall off, back-breaking wall off with War Horde, there's almost nothing like it, because it's really like you surgically just crack the enemy's back like Hulk we did to Loki in those old Marvel movies. Like, so we have. Okay, I was just making sure I had the proper list because I was sloppy that last presentation, so I double checked real quick while I was yapping. So we have two beast bosses. Then we have a old classic with the Death Killer War Trike Super Cyborg Body. Whoa! Now come on now. I know we all miss old Maz. So shame on GG James Workshop for that. But we have a Feel No Pain back on the 9 wound character. He is only T6, but having that many wounds on him and his big old fat base does make him a very, very warranted distraction Carnifex. And then we have a Pain Boy and a War Boss with Follow Me, lads, because we went back to the meat and potatoes of the WAAAGH, a 20-man unit of Ork boys. Whoa, let's go. So even though they did get the increase, and I did feel like for the most part, as we were seeing the Green Tide results and just how it was going for Ork players, mobs were still kind of in and out of Ork lists, not really holding their ground as they used to. But in this case, like I always talked about, got to have that backbone of the wall with the boys, so that mid-table bowling. And then you have, of course, a 2 10-man unit of Snaggers for those beast bosses. Nothing like this unit in War Horde for the fact that he has sustain. I shouldn't really say that because the Hunt absolutely does something like it and is proper killy. But nonetheless, when you have 2 of these units and one's always having sustain 6s and the other one can have 5+, now you're cooking, right? And this is what we really want to see. That's what makes them so good supplementary. Now, there is only one truck, so none of this truck spam list on any of the lists that we showed today, nor of the ones that I even mentioned earlier. So one truck list only on this list, followed by 1 unit of the Breaker Boys. He did have a rocket pistol and smash hammer, of course. And then again, we see a unit of Death Copters, just one 3-man unit. He did choose to bring the custom Mega Blaster on that. I always talk about, custom Mega Blaster is at least 3 assured shots. Really, I don't have any really strict opinion on this. Do whatever suits you best. I'm definitely a fan of someone getting my flat 3 shots off, but then I also understand if you're playing other detachments, you might want all rockets, you might just want all blast, depending on your meta, whatever it may be. You do what you want to do. But what we also have here is a nice 5-man unit of flash kits for that SWAT team combo, most likely, where they're going in a truck, possibly, and because we also have 2 kill rigs. So good chances here is that you have a flash kit, Breaker Boy combo into the truck and the SWAT team, followed by 1 unit of Gretchen, and then the 2 kill rigs. Or may I say, shout out to the old skill rigs, if you guys remember that when the rigs were first out, people call them skill rigs. 1 unit of Mandos, because Mandos lead the way, baby, with a breach burner and a power claw, followed by 2 minimum sized units of the Squig Hog Boys and 1 5-man unit of Storm Boys. Now, I still hold my guns on what I said about Squig Hog Boys, and as a matter of fact, I might make a video about how enraged, maybe, and I guess not necessarily enraged, but frustrated it could be to be into Squig Hog Boys and how they've been overcosted and misused for a while and changed up a bit and really just need either a refitting or a huge point decrease. So I might do a video on that. Let me know if I really should push the button on that. But nonetheless, really like to see them. Enemies can just make the failed target priority on them in this detachment. Being able to access the sustain is really nice. And we're going to go over his path to victory to really see where these guys could shine. So Hard as Nailed Boys with the wall feels absolutely great. Getting his charge off with sustain, freaking awesome. We love to see that. Boatload of attacks coming from that unit and odd toughness factor alongside all those skill rigs. So remember, Chuck, he has Death Copters, he has skill rigs, and Squig Hog Boys. So though nothing is very, very durable, everything is somewhat durable and pretty much ignoring a lot of his small arms fire, regardless of his matchups he's going to be going into here, right? So though everything is not very tough, like a battle wagon, for example, at least for Ork standards, we consider tough, isn't tough like a battle wagon. Everything is on repetition, where they can be cycled for a different unit to kind of do the same rule, other than the one SWAT team. But SWAT team's always used for kind of its more surgical maneuvering on the field for that small truck. The rigs, the pigs, and then the snagger boys, just all redundancy. And then you have the actual boys breaking it down to the middle, and then the SWAT team ready to kind of play as what I like to call the quick response force, or a QRF is what you'd call in the military. So let's take a look at his actual path to victory. As you can see here, he did play 6 rounds and he took the loss in the second round. So let's go with his first game, which was a hot W here, where we have the Adeptus Custodes. We have a Blade Champion, Shield Captain to Lars, Terminator Armor, and then a Trajan Valores. You sorry that I did that weird way I said that. I do own a Custodian army. It was my second army. So a little bit of love. So sorry for the weird way I enunciate things. Some factions I get all thematic for, and some of them I'm like, whatever, Necrons. Then we have Custodian Guard, followed by another Custodian Guard. One big brick of a large Custodians, followed by one unit of Wardens. Only some Virtus Praetor is making an appearance, huh? I haven't seen that in a hot minute. And then a Witch Seekers, followed by 2 Arminger Warglaves. So just good target cost. But when you're playing into this attachment, these dudes are getting absolutely melted by the Beast Boss unit. The Beast Boss unit's finally like, well, I have my optimal targets here. I know what I'm going after from these skill rigs. What he doesn't also have is like a Caladius Grav Tank. So not really dealing with the kill rigs in any inefficient manner. Like we always say, Custodes not being able to get, has to actually pop our cans open to get us out of there. If they have to do it manually by melee, it means we're getting the initiative on them. Kill rigs can always have a weird time actually popping off and dealing damage to key units. Putting our strength to different thresholds so that we can actually wound Custodians more efficiently. And then in that sense, because they don't have an Armor of Contempt and they can just put pure volume on them, a lot of the time you go for their softer assets quickly as possible. Arbingers, if you can reach the sisters somehow, if they're not just home objectives. But if they are, and you can go for everything else because then they don't have screens. So then the Wardian Gardens get kind of soft here. He doesn't have that one Draxus. Sorry, I was gonna call her. I was having a brain fart calling her. Though, of course, like we always say, don't let them get the initiative on you. But when you have a fight on death, big mob of boys to bang it out in the middle against all these guys, you're gonna draw out their assets and really have a fun way to play. So love to see it. Love to see a big W on there. Custos don't like having to try to crack our transports. But then we go into his second game, which his second game, surprisingly enough, ended up being another green machine matchup. Whoa, where we had another War Horde, and the Git said, what's up, Jack? He said, it was Jack Cloud, by the way, not Jack Stock Cloud. Jack Cloud Stock? Yeah, I got that right that time, you get. But I like this title of his list. He said, back to War Horde for the 1,000th time, I guess. Absolutely, do I feel you on that? So we have one Beast Boss, one War Boss with Super Cyborg body. 10-man unit of Snaggers, followed by 2 10-man units of boys, 4 trucks, 2 breaker boys, 2 flash kits, 2 Gretchen, 1 commando, 1 knob, and then double boys, followed by triple tank busters. So I do think to a certain degree that the tank busters would actually play some factor here. Fact that they don't mind going to Squig Hog boys, they don't mind going to kill rigs. They're not going to get much reprisal from this list, other than maybe the 5-man flash kits or maybe the def captains, but that's really not enough to keep them off it. So the fact that you actually do have something to pop the opponent's Orks list transports is important, and the fact that you actually have trucks, so you get to pull the whole, well, I'm inside trucks, I stage up on you, get out, smash into you. So boys are maneuverable as their boy matchup counterparts. And I have seen the knob matchup into Squig Hog boys. Now, there, of course, you can do fight on death and get a nice trade out of that. But the knobs into Squig Hog boys does usually turn out all right for the knobs. Not always, but typically can. Just volume is damage 2. -2 is like, all right, cool. And just who baits the wall to who. So I think it was really close game, though, because 79-point loss right there. So I don't think it was like a blow up by any means. So shout out to the fellow green skin with Jack, because if anyone's going to take a loss, it better be from another green skin, because Orks are never beaten. And then we move on to his third game, which we have, making him proud. What's up, Double Rig? Let's go. Work on Orc violence, right? Isn't that still a win in the end for us? Aren't we still happy about that for Orc on Orc violence? It's all good, bro. Then we go into the third game, which was against the Adeptus Sororitas. So we have triple Canonus, a Demi Fulg, we're gonna keep that. Junith, Morganval, Palatine, and then Triumph of St. Catherine. Then we have one Sisters of Battle squad for that nice combat squatting, right? Pop the unit apart, 2 little units. I actually really like that ability. Just saying. Immolators, followed by Sisters Rhino, 2 big 10-man units of Arco-Flagellants. Got to be careful with that on the Orc Boy unit. Now, I remember the last time I covered these, I was saying what they were, but it was in their index attachment. So I'm just doing myself the benefit of the doubt here, and I'm just making sure I remember exactly what they do. Because I'm pretty confident, but I was last time too, and I was off by a little bit. So they still have the feel no pains, and yes, they do get up to 6 attacks. They do have access to sustain and strength 5. So boatload of attacks, perfect strength threshold at least just at 4 for orcs, and they have sustain. So you got to be careful of these big 10-man units, followed by 1 castigator, 1 unit of Celestine Sacrosaints. So another big shield spear girls. I actually like those a lot. I like those girls a lot. I thought they were pretty cool models when they came out. Then we have a Paragon War Suit, and then 1 unit of Seraphim. Now, not too unit heavy here, which does end up playing kind of good for War Horde, considering that we are wanting to fight it on death. We get the wall if we want to be able to touch as many units as possible, even if we're not killing them. And these Arco-Flagellants, though they have 5 up Funeral Pans, this would be something that the Squig Hog boys, for example, would love to get a charge off into, right? So if you let these guys came out to bang out with my 20-man unit, 10-man units. If they came to get banging out with Snagga Boys, for example, and the Snagga Boys did a fight on death with them, and the 5 Snagga Boys were winning them on 2s, well, the volume of punches they get off on that is great. If they have to come out to kill commandos, then the Squig Hog Boys getting a charge off of them is great. And then we just get at that point, then you're just dealing with Sacrosaints. And of course, you do have where's my girl? Morgan Fall. Of course, you have Morgan Fall. You still have Junith. She has a great flamer. Gotta be careful of that. And then the Triumph to actually get like assured outcomes for these units. But that's why just like Orc Pressure is always quite important here, because he did pull up a 98-point win there. So easier said than done. But when you go first into Sisters of Battle and you kind of push the pressure on them, and you have infiltrators with Mandos like that, and you kind of hold them there, get them to kind of come out to play and then start making trades on you. With them, they don't got much left. They do like to just bang it out in the mid table. They're not like super deadly at range, but that they can either just break your back as an orc that one time they come out, but typically we can kind of overwhelm them. And I was just double checking to see if there's anything I missed on the Sacrosaints. That was kind of make me too nothing too much. They do have their -2 AP, strength 1 attacks, 4 up invulns, but really this kind of unit doesn't really have that good defensive profile into orcs, because just the amount of punches we get. So 98 points right there. Let's pull in another his 3rd game. Let's see. Oh no, his 4th game. I just said his 3rd game. That was in Sisters. So now it goes 4th game. You guys still watching? Okay, making sure the right thing up on screen, which was the Tau Empire. So we have Commander and Coalstar Battlesuit. Boom, no more characters. Very lean right there. Broadside Battlesuit, Crisis Sunforged Battlesuit, Ghost Keel, Carnivore, Pathfinder, Piranha, Triple Riptide. Welcome to 9th edition. No, I'm just kidding. And then triple stealth suits, only as the minimum size units, followed by 1 unit of Vespid. I've always found it the tail of the tape does happen a lot of the time with Tau, is like, am I deploying my infiltrators first? What's the mission? And did I go first? A lot of the time, the game is very kind of clear. Pedal to the metal, get downfield on them, and really get stuck in. Even with the commandos, make a big difference. The Death Killer War Trike with this Feel No Pain, being able to just immediate create space. War for gas Thraka in the chat. Get to the Death Killer War Trike, be able to create space there as well, and just get up the field with these kill rigs, these pigs. You really just got to pull it out, because they're really good at focusing something down, but not everything down. So a lot of the time, people that are orc players will just put out 1 or 2 things for a top player and start doing like, well, I'll kill 1 of your stealth suits and then I'll kill another 1 of these piranhas. And they're like, cool, I have still just enough firepower on turn 1 and 2 that I can kill these 2 units, and then I can just repeat and cycle with more screens of trash, whether it's with the crews or whatever it may be. Even sometimes they will actually utilize ghost kills into orc matchups sometimes to put them up, just so that they can keep maybe 1 unit of Pathfinder still alive, and then a bunch of Riptide battle suits to kind of hold back and mess you up, and then shoot you with the the Sunforge and the broadside battle suits. So In this case, like I said, pedal to the metal and Total a lot of the time for that early game pressure if you want a big score differential on them. And in this case, he got an 81-point win. So good job there. And then we move on to his 5th game, which was into, sorry about that, I was getting a little too excited. The Black Templars, Righteous Crusaders. So we have Castellan, sorry, that's Castellan. A Castellan, 1 High Marshal Helbricht, a Judiciar, Lieutenant with Combi Weapon, and then a Tac Marine. I'm actually interested in playing against these guys. So I'm going to go on RTT on Saturday, so 3 days from now, and we'll see if I end up kind of seeing them around. I don't want to play them. It's been a while. So we have a big brick of Primaris Crusader squads, 2 of them, 2 of the big bricks mobs. We like to see that as Orc players. Well, I guess not really bricks. Yeah, no, they're not. Okay, there. They're the Novicia. Aha, Novicia, I see you. And 2 help and power claws. Okay. Then we have the Inceptor squad, followed by an Infiltrator squad, 2 Land Raider Redeemers, followed by 2 units of the Primary Sword Brethren that absolutely crump Orc units. You got to be very careful. And then a Scout Squad. So this is one of those deadly games because my Argate here has no DACA into his list other than those little bit of flash kits that he has there, and then the kill rigs and the breaker boys. I mean the death copters. That's not real like reliable shooting phase, right, you guys? Very, very important to utilize your weapon properly. Very important to use your fight on death really efficient here, and realize that as much as he has the damage to break your back, you have a lot of it too with your Squig Hog boys going into his bricks of Crusaders, his breaker boys going into maybe his Land Raiders, obviously, or even his Sword Brethren squads and taking them out with him. Kill rigs, just kind of being that we're going to get up the field and making you actually try to break us. I wouldn't say put them in a position where you can get them shot and then also charge the content inside, but understanding that like they're going to come forward with their Land Raiders and try to play that mid table because there's the 20-man units, and you have an Orc player. That's what you have that 20-man Mob Boys unit for as well. So Manos are going to have to really kind of take the table there, hold them back. Then you come out and really get stuck in. And yeah, of course, this Yard's pain with his fight on first, and that's where fight on death's really important. Or just drawing into the fact that you multi-charge his unit and you make maybe the Death Killer Wartrike the only character that he can see, and he has to get his fights into the Death Killer Wartrike, but then you still have to deal with the actual fighting from the unit, so you might need to draw more of the attacks onto something like a Death Killer Wartrike, so that your whole 20-man unit of boys, for example, doesn't get mobbed and washed right away. So this would be a technical game. Would love to see it. Would love to actually play it. 80-point W there. A lot of things to look out for on those games because we've seen how Black Templars and Orcs can go. Absolutely, both of us have enough firepower and damage to kill each other really big easily. Neither of us is really holding up a good fight to each other. Defensively, holding our grounds in the fight to each other. Then we go into his last game. So 80-point win there. That was his lowest scoring win by 1 point only, though. Then we go into his last game, which we have the Imperial Knights. So the meta bullies, the meta annoyances, whatever you want to call them, we have the Imperial Knights came out to play again. So we have 2 Knight Castigators, triple Crassus Knight Lancers. So these are fighting knights, which might actually be the thing that saves the day here. Because like we always said, your fight on death, the fact that they gotta come to you and you're gonna get in fights with them is pretty cool. And then 1 Knight Arbinger. So actually I'm 84 W point there, so I actually love to see that. You're running into Breaker Boys, Beast Bosses, Squig Hog Boys, Kill Rigs giving stuff +1 strength if it has to, so they can actually wound you a little bit better. Love to see it. Super excited for that. It's one of those cases where I'm like, well, Orcs do have the damage to kill multiple knights. We have said that, where it can end up kind of predating on them, and in this case they did. Triple Knight Lancer, and then I think the Knight Castigator, I'm pretty sure, is very much more for like popping vehicles from what I remember. Yeah, from what I remember, because sometimes I mess up their names, but I'm like pretty confident in this. But I'm gonna say I'm pretty confident in this and then be wrong, so I'm still looking it up because this is live, baby boys, and I don't remember every unit dead at 40k. Knight Castigator, but maybe this is like that Forge War one that I'm not familiar with. I'm talking on that. Yeah, I was talking. See, I was wrong. See, that's why I said it's not the one with the anti-tank. This, this is the one with the where he had. Yeah, he did have the bolt. I can read right there. Bolt cannon. So the strength 6 -2, 2 damage. So again, that's not even that good into even something like Squighog Boys, for example. Where it's like, oops, well, you know, none of my shooting's that effective into your kill rigs, into your trucks, your Squighog Boys. I'm just gonna shoot into them, and I think they do have twin linked. From what I'd seen, right? They are twin linked. 36-inch range, 18 shots, hitting on 3, strength 6 -2, 2 damage. And then he has sustain and then penetrate of the bondsman ability that it gives out. So not that it has. And in the shooting phase, for your next turn, it gets suppressed. So you can make a unit -1 to hit that it shoots at one of our units. So you can like make the Squighog Boys even more inefficient than they already are. So then they just extra suck. But you didn't care anyways when you brought them because you didn't expect them to do well anyways, right? Right? So shout out to that get great freaking job there. Get stuck in, crumping them big beakies with them knives. So War Horde still breaking backs out here, and the fact that he's using the classics, you don't see a bunch of tank busters out here. You don't see some truck spams. You see good old fashioned beast bosses, good old fashioned meat and potatoes boys without the wagon. Without the wagon, which was surprising me. I will say that now that we're near the end of this, right? Given my 2 cents. This was the United Kingdom, so this was UK circuit. I think this was UKTC. So maybe that's why they could play without the transport. So if you're an orc player and you're watching this and you're like, well, I want to play with them, my boys mobs, but I couldn't imagine doing that. Totally understand. There's a good chance that you could just pay for the battle wagon, find a substitute in there, lose some of the Squighog Boys, for example, right? You might have to lose something like that. But the 20 boys playing the mid table, War Boss, Pain Boy on the wall, calling that investment, having that mid table switch on primary, holding that mid table line, versatility in the kill from the kill rig, giving it +1 strength, maybe even lethal, and then also having sustain on that critical 5+, and things could really get out of hand. Love them, love Breaker Boys, what they bring to the Orks. To be honest, don't have to bring a bunch of them. Even if you own one, can make a big difference in matchups because really they're susceptible to fights first, like we said. So you're only going to fight on death with one of them. They're susceptible to interrupts because they're still pretty soft, and they kind of suck outside of the wall. So even just having one unit of Breaker Boys for that one go turn, you have that one ideal target of I'm just going to take out this unit. Cool, absolutely fine with just that. Bring 2, nothing wrong. See people bringing 3, that's all good too. But what I like about this list is it's so practical and relatable to the average 40K player. Not saying that the pilot was average, because a lot of the times what you guys don't think about is the person who's running this list and these lists or these detachments for months on end, 4, 6 months, years. So if just because you're starting out or you play a little bit casual and you're having a hard time, don't think that one, your army's all absolutely terrible, or that there's something wrong with you. Sometimes it's just the pilots are exceptional at using the basics, and I love that that's what this is showing out, because it means you can too. No difference in that, other than the matchups you might get, right? So that's why we always show context. So shout out to our boy Thompson Dobson for his 5-1 play with the War Horde, showing where the War Horde is, showing that it still has its old backbone, its spine, and its kind of stable pillars of how it plays. So confident in the War Horde and where it goes out throughout the meta. Now, as for me, for these last minutes, of course, this is live chat. What's up to you, Gits? I've been seeing you guys popping off. Shout out to Wicked Joe. I'll probably see you on Monday. Shout out to Wicked Joe, you guys. You're gonna have, he needs some more energy to overcome this crumping he's gonna get. And we got 20 watt tactic gifted memberships. Whoa, from Wicked Joe, because we about to get stuck in, lad, on Monday. Let's go. So when I knock his teeth out, you gets, that's what he was giving out for you guys. That's what those 20 gets are. So say thank you to Wicked Joe for that, you gets, as we're gonna have a proper good crumping time as we always do. And then of course we have Lucas Donar for becoming a member. So thank you very much. And I seen you here in the chat going crazy with your wall. So welcome to the great wall you get. Thank you very much to you. Thank you very much to Rick B. Very generous again with 5 wall tactic gifts and membership. Whoa! So check out the after action report, because I'm in the process of doing more. That's why I'm going to this RTT, so I can kind of practice with trying to get pictures and stuff like that, so I can end up doing more of these. So really let me know, even if you think it sucked, and tell me how I can improve, because this is what's I don't have any background doing this. I'm just figuring it out. So help me figure it out. Watch that video if you got the membership. Leave a comment, criticism or love, whatever it is. I want to hear it. So thank you to Rick B. And like I said, thank you to Wicked Joe. Super generous with the 20 gifted tactic ships. That's absolutely amazing. Means a lot to motivate me. And hopefully we can get some guys out here so that they can actually watch that after action report. Let me know how we're doing. And of course, leave comments for more great content we can do, because we have our backlog going, guys. Because now we caught our feet. We got to figure it out. You know, we're really getting stuck in here and get into this YouTube thing. So our list on videos and ideas we have is still going. All it comes down to is actually being able to pump out the content and knowing the direction we're going so we can go full throttle. So thank you to everyone. Shout out to you guys who are just watching and chilling while you're painting and listening, or guys that are competing, guys that are want to hear what's going on with the meta, want to be excited by pigs and rigs, or if you're just guys, go talk in the chat. Love all you gets. Of course, check out the paint competition, the videos that are coming up. We do them every Friday, every Wednesday, and then I'm trying to do some extra ones. So I'm here for it. Let me know what you guys are doing. Thank you for leaving your votes. But there's always one thing to keep in mind is don't cross our wall, because we'll knock your teeth out like I'm about to do to you, Wicked Joe. Whoa!